Three generations of Donald Trump's family surrounded him on stage after he accepted the Republican nomination during a marathon speech recounting the horrifying moment he was shot by a would-be assassin. Melania Trump came up behind her husband, still with a bandage on his ear, on stage, then got a kiss on the cheek at the end of a historic night just days after he came within inches of losing his life. The 77-year-old's 93-minute speech, a record in modern history, started by recounting the moment where he was within a quarter of an inch of being killed and reliving the amount of blood that spilled on his face. But after the somber opening of his address on Unity, he returned to his trademark attacks on President Joe Biden, old enemies, and his border and economic policies. He joked about the late, great Hannibal Lecter when riffing about immigration, said Kim Jong-un missed him, and re-upped his promise to end taxes on tips from cheers from the crowd. Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric, Tiffany and their significant others then came out on stage to cheers from the crowd as balloons fell from the arena's ceiling and Puccini's Nessun Dorma played. The Trump grandkids tossed the red, white, blue and gold balloons around as they bounced on the stage. But one family member was notably missing: the 67 Barron Trump. Donald Trump did mention his youngest son during his remarks, but Barron was not seated in the family's box. He was originally selected as a convention delegate from Florida, but Melania's office later announced Barron would not serve as he had a prior commitment. His absence was notable, particularly after he attended one of his father's campaign rallies earlier this month, where he stood and waved to the crowd. Melania has been fiercely protective of her only son throughout her husband's political career. But Don Jr.'s and Eric's children were present. Kai Trump, 17, became the breakout star of the convention after she addressed the convention on Wednesday night, paying a sweet tribute to her grandfather. On Thursday, it was the turn of Eric's daughter Carolina, 4, as she stole the show when she sat on Trump's lap while Eric addressed the delegates. At one point, Carolina had her thumb in her mouth as her father spoke. Her older brother Eric Luke, 6, joined in on cheering on their dad as he sat on Mom Laura's lap. As well as Barron, Ivanka and Jared's 3 children, Arabella, Joseph, and Theodore, were also missing from the action. Donald Trump, meanwhile, basked in the adoration of the delegates after he wrapped up his 1 hour and 32-minute speech. He started off with a dramatic retelling of the assassination attempt on his life. "If I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark," he said. "And I would not be here tonight. We would not be together." The nominee then rambled, going off the teleprompter, to slam Nancy Pelosi and name Czech rival Joe Biden. The delegates in the hall appeared restless, with many taking their seats and taking out their phones. A few fell asleep. Trump failed to bring up abortion, an issue that has bedeviled Republicans ever since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federally guaranteed right to abortion 2 years ago. Nor did he mention the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, in which Trump supporters tried to stop the certification of his loss to Democrat Joe Biden. Trump has long referred to the people jailed for the riot as hostages. They rallied for the grand finale, however, roaring their approval as the Trump family took the stage to wave as balloons rained down around them. Since the assassination attempt on him on July 13, Trump has had his family at his side. Most of them were on hand Thursday night to see him crowned as the Republican presidential nominee. His children walked onto the convention floor with him. Later, Melania Trump, in a bright red skirt suit by Dior, made a dramatic entrance, walking into the arena to cheers and the music from Beethoven's Symphony No. 9. She was introduced to the roaring crowd as the future First Lady. Melania only joined the convention on its last night, taking her seat in the Trump family box shortly before Donald began his remarks. Ivanka Trump and husband Jared Kushner also only attended on Thursday night, marking their first appearances in the campaign, having stepped back from their key roles in the former Apprentice host's inner political circle. Ivanka has said that while she supports her father, she will not be campaigning for him. The couple joined Don Jr. and Tiffany in the family box to sit with their father while Eric Trump addressed the crowd. Both Don Jr., who addressed the convention on Wednesday, and Eric have been surrogates on the campaign trail. Eric's wife Laura joined the leadership of Republican National Committee to help run the former president's re-election effort. The former president was surrounded by his children and grandchildren as he prepared to address the delegates. His family, except for Barron and Ivanka and Jared's 3 children, was on hand while he spoke. Melania sat quietly during his speech, listening as he described the assassination attempt that nearly took his life. She smiled when he made little jokes but stared at her husband intently as he recounted the horrific event. Donald paid tribute to her during his remarks, calling her "my amazing wife Melania." She stood and waved as the crowd gave her a standing ovation. "Melania, thank you very much. You also did something very beautiful. A letter to America calling for national unity," he said. He also thanked the rest of his family. Melania, who rarely makes public statements, spoke to the horror when she realized her and son Barron's life were on the brink of devastating change after hearing the news about her husband's assassination attempt. The former First Lady called the gunman a monster and described the moment she watched the bullet strike her husband's ear at a Pennsylvania rally in front of thousands of his adoring fans. "A monster who recognized my husband as an inhuman political machine attempted to wring out Donald's passion, his laughter, ingenuity, love of music, and inspiration," Melania said in an emotional statement on X on Sunday morning. "When I watched that violent bullet strike my husband, Donald, I realized my life, and Barron's life, were on the brink of devastating change. I am grateful to the brave Secret Service agents and law enforcement officials who risked their own lives to protect my husband." She called for people to reunite and said she is thinking of her fellow Americans. "This morning, ascend above the hate, the vitriol, and the simple-minded ideas that ignite violence," her statement continued. "The winds of change have arrived. For those of you who cry in support, I thank you. I commend those of you who have reached out beyond the political divide. Thank you for remembering that every single politician is a man or a woman with a loving family." Trump barely mentioned Biden, often referring only to the current administration. "It was Donald Trump who destroyed our economy, ripped away rights, and failed middle-class families," said Jen Amelie Dillon, the Biden campaign chair, in a statement after the speech. Now he pursues the presidency with an even more extreme vision for where he wants to take this country. Trump's appearance came as Biden, the 81-year-old Democratic incumbent, clings to his party's presumptive nomination in the face of unrelenting pressure from key congressional allies, donors and even former President Barack Obama, who fear he may be unable to win re-election after his disastrous debate. Hours before the balloons were scheduled to rain down on Trump and his family inside the convention hall, Biden deputy campaign manager Quentin Fulks appeared nearby in Milwaukee and insisted over and over that Biden would not step aside. "I do not want to be rude, but I don't know how many more times I can answer that," Fulks told reporters. There are no plans being made to replace Biden on the ballot. Thursday's RNC program seemed designed to project strength and masculinity in an implicit rebuke of Biden. Ultimate Fighting Championship President Dana White called Trump a real American badass. Kid Rock performed a song with the chorus, "Fight, Fight," echoing the word Trump mouthed on stage in Pennsylvania as Secret Service agents surrounded him. And wrestling icon Hulk Hogan, marking his first appearance for Trump, He was not present during the 2016 campaign as he was in a period of exile after a video leaked of him using the N-word repeatedly in reference to a man who was dating his daughter, described the former president as an American hero. After the convention, Trump heads to Detroit for a campaign rally on Saturday. Ivanka Trump has said she supports her father but won't formally campaign for him. It is unclear when or if Melania Trump will appear on the campaign trail.